WDBFradio.com. 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 I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right. Well, a good morning to you out there. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and listen and allowing us to share with you. We always have a good time here on the show. I always learn something, and I hope that some of you out there who tune in learn something as well. So this morning, normally I have Pam Worth with me as a co-host. She's one of the top female anglers here in Florida. She is out, I think she's on her way to Louisiana, and there's a possibility she's going to be calling in this morning, kind of giving us an update, but I think that's where she's headed, out to Louisiana to do one of the tournaments out there. So as always, and I could not do it without him, would be the one and only Captain Hook. Good morning, Captain Hook. Thank you for what you do, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure, and all is well. And what a beautiful day we got going on over here in Clearwater, Florida. Just gorgeous. Last couple mornings just been beautiful over here.
We had Hurricane Michael came through this last week, and the last permanent duty station I was at was Tyndall Air Base. Last time I was there was in the 80s, but the last time I was there as an active duty was in the 70s. I'm looking at pictures of this of the base. Understand this is the second largest landmass base in the United States. This is a big base. They're claiming it as a complete loss. The entire base has been decimated. Just south of Tyndall Air Base is a place called Mexico Beach. A very quaint, it used to be a very quaint, I don't know, I haven't been there in years, but from my memory, it was a very quaint, very quiet place. Decimated. Parts of Panama City, decimated. I still have very close friends up there. They lost their home. They have their lives, thank you God. Lost their home, and just tremendous amounts of damage. It reminds me of why I live here in West Palm Beach. In 1992, we had a hurricane come through South Florida, Hurricane Andrew, and I happen to be living down south where that hurricane came through. Destroyed the entire neighborhood. We were fortunate enough not to be in the home when the hurricane came through, but just to give you an idea, it took me over an hour and a half to find my house. If you can imagine, when you're driving down the street, you're subconsciously, you see a stop sign, okay, when I get to the stop sign, I'm going to make a right. When I get to the traffic light, I'll make a left, whatever. If there's no stop signs, if there's no traffic lights, if there's no telephone poles, if all of that is gone, it literally sends you into a mode of confusion. You don't know where you're going. And I see that's what's happening in Panama City. So prayers for all of those people up there. We wish you the best, and thank God that you are safe. I've already read there's, I think, up to 15 deaths now, 15 or 16 deaths that have been attributed to this horrible storm. One of the things that we have to deal with here in Florida, but we do deal with it. And again, prayers to all of them out there, hoping that having this happened will assist in this thing we call red tide that's been going on. Have you seen any reports about any difference in the water quality?
Well, the problem that we had is we had about between 2 and 4 foot tidal surge as a result of the hurricane going by, and it filled up Tampa Bay, and it pushed a lot of the red tide into Tampa Bay. The morning after the hurricane had passed, the winds were blowing, and I know because of all the water that was pushed up in here, then it had to go back out, and boy, you could smell it so bad, because we live right on the northernmost point of the St. Petersburg Peninsula. There's nobody else that lives any further north than we do. And the mangroves are right there on the other side of the golf course from us. So, and you could just smell it. But it seems like it's subsided for the last couple of days. But the day right after the storm passed, it pushed a lot of it up into this area.
Well, I'm waiting for Mitchell. I don't know. Do you remember Mitchell Roffer? I believe his last name is. He's the marine biologist we had on a while back.
Uh-huh.
He's out of the country right now. He does work out of the country as well. But when he comes, he's been keeping very close eye on what's going on. When he comes back, he's going to kind of give us an update, biologically, chemically, if you will, what's going on out there. And hopefully it's going to be some good news. There are people, we had, now I can't think of his name, the captain that you told me about.
Yeah. Brett.
We had him on last week, and according to him, there's places that you can fish. There's places that there are fish. There's places that you can catch fish. You just got to find them.
Right. It's very spotty where the red tide is. It's very spotty. It broke it up quite a bit, but it did push a lot of it up into the Tampa Bay area.
Wow. Well, I'm always happy to hear that we can still go fishing, because that's my passion. I love fishing, and it has just been a very positive part of my life, and I try to spread that with other people. Try to get people interested in going out, enjoying each other's company, and while you're doing that, enjoy fishing and helping build your relationships, build your family, keep your family together, have a good time, enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day out here. I don't see a whole lot. I looked earlier on the radar. Didn't see a whole lot happening. I'm going to bring it back up here in a moment and take a look. But it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day here in South Florida. If you are sitting at home and you have no plans for the day, well, we certainly hope that after the show, after the key word, is that you will go out and enjoy yourself, because it is going to be a gorgeous day here. Did you hear anything about another, some kind of a low or something down on the other side on your side of the state?
I have not, but it's hard to believe because the weather is just gorgeous over here. Not a cloud in the sky. It's about 71 degrees. Can't beat it.
Well, it looks, I think that's probably going to be the story for at least the morning time, because when I looked earlier, there didn't seem to be much of anything going on. So get out there and enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got a lot to offer, especially on a beautiful day like today.
Yes, sir. It's a good day to go fishing.
Yes, everybody. So we're going to have, in a few minutes here, we'll have Robert Warner. He's with the Fish Florida magazine. Who else have we got lined up? We have Mike Simcoe. I love having Mike Simcoe on. He's always got something interesting about kite fishing. I always used to think kite fishing was kind of a very simple thing, but come to find out that kite fishing can be simple, can be very straightforward and simple, but it can also be very sophisticated and really help you catch some serious fish. We got Kyle Sikora coming on. He's with Dockside Fuel Service. If you're down there in the Keys and you need some help with your vessel and you don't feel like going to the marina, you want to get a hold of Kyle. He'll be on a little later. He'll tell you a little bit more about that. I invited Betty Bowman back on. I really enjoyed having Betty on. Betty is with Ladies Let's Go Fishing, and the reason why I enjoy her is most of you know that I have said the female version of us plays a vital part of this male-dominated industry, and sometimes I don't think they get enough credit. That's one of the reasons that I so much enjoy having Pam Worth on with me. She's one of those who's ready to get out there and just really get her hands stinky, and that's what happens when you go fishing. That's why a lot of girls don't like to do it. Is you get smelly. It's not but it's a love of something to do, and when you have someone who loves what they do it well, and that's exactly what Pam does. Let's see, who else have we got? We have got Mike Lindell. Mike is with the King of the Glades tournaments. He's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on in the freshwater area back there around. He is usually fishing the around the Lake Okeechobee area or some of the canals they're in. So we'll get a fishing report on that, and with Kyle coming on, we'll get a fishing report out of the Keys, so we'll know what's going on in the Keys. And let's see, has Robert? I think we got Robert on the line. Did Robert call in?
Robert is here.
We did.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, Robert, and thank you for taking the time to call in. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, and how are you guys doing?
Go ahead, Captain.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Robert,
Right,
I don't know where you're at, but I'm looking at the IntelliCast, and it looks like very little to nothing happening on the West Coast. Very little to none happening with regard to thunderstorms on the East Coast. About 78 degrees, and winds are 10 to 15 miles an hour. If you've got a boat, today's the day to go.
Yeah, it's been great. We were out for a couple of days. We were out Thursday and Friday, and there was almost no wind. I think it was about, we went out Friday morning. It was I think they called for 1 to 2 foot, and it looked more like 6 inches. So,
oh my goodness.
It was, it was flat out there. It was beautiful.
Well, did you catch anything?
We did. We caught some, we actually, Amanda Gilbert was our angler of the year last year, and we took her out and, with her boyfriend, and we took her out of Key Largo and caught a big black grouper and
Ooh.
a bunch of yellowtail and some other stuff, and she caught a kingfish that got cut in half right at the boat by a shark. And
oh my gosh! Did you get any pictures?
Oh yeah, it's all in the magazine. It'll all be in the new magazine when it comes
I have
out.
to go check that out. You get pictures of the king that got cut in half?
Yes, there's actually a picture of that. If you go to the Facebook page, there's a picture of that. Melanie House is holding it. She's one of the captains of the boat, and she's holding it up, showing off half of it.
Robert, I don't know if you've ever run into this, and I haven't been in fishing in a boat down in the Keys in a while, but I really believe this. I know some people are going to hear what I'm going to say and they're going to go, he's crazy. We used to, especially if we were fishing in relatively shallow water, like 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet, on the reefs themselves. I am not kidding you. Mm-hmm. At least a handful of times that I've been out there fishing, we would be pulling up a fish, and of course you get to just before the boat, and you feel a tug, you pull a fish up, and you got a head, and the rest of the fish is gone. You know there's a barracuda around. Yeah. So you pick up your lines, and you scoot for a little while. You might scoot for 10 or 15 minutes away. It looks like a nice area. You set your anchor out, or you drift, and you drop your lines, and you catch a couple of fish, and then about 15 or maybe half an hour later, you're pulling up a fish, and bam, you get a big jerk, and you pull up a head again.
Mm-hmm. They are
I think they follow the boat.
Yes, and in trying to dodge them, and sometimes it seems like the same one's following you.
Yes.
But it's not. They're all different ones. But
I'm telling you, I could just see what that barracuda's thinking. Oh, my God, this is free food. Hang out, man. Just follow that big shadow.
Yeah, it's funny. When you go out yellowtailing and you start putting out the chum bag, it's like a call to dinner for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So they just wait. Okay. They put out the chum, the yellowtail will be here in a minute. So, yeah.
They're smart fish. I'll tell you what, it used to irritate me because I'm not kidding you, I would cruise for 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. It probably ran several miles from the original position, get fishing, think everything's good. There they are.
Yeah. Bam. They returned.
So you've experienced that as well.
Many times. I actually had one of the biggest mutton snapper I ever caught in my life, at least from the head that I pulled up. Cut off by one of those right at the boat. So
at least
and they're fast.
You can say that
and they're lazy. I think they just sit under your boat.
They
in
do.
The shade.
They do.
And wait.
That's right.
And then okay, here it comes.
Yeah.
Who's coming? There we go.
These are the ones that I saw. They were relatively large barracuda. These are 4 or 5 foot.
Oh yeah. There's some big ones out there. And actually, we normally try to just catch the one that's being a nuisance. Mm-hmm. And once you catch them, that takes care of that for a while. But
really?
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So.
Well, I was going to say, at least they're not selfish. They leave you the head.
Right.
Oh yeah. For those that want to make soup, you're all set.
Yeah. Fish head soup.
That's all they leave you.
So,
but the kingfish was big enough that he only cut it in half. So he got half, we got half.
There you go. Yeah, he's not selfish.
Yeah.
I'll take half.
He was fair.
50-50.
He was fair.
So anything going on with regards to any other fishing that you've gotten reports on?
Yeah, there's lots of redfish coming in. Lots of redfish coming in. Both coasts. Big ones too. It must be that time of year when the big ones come in, but there's a lot of big redfish being caught. There's still some dolphin being caught down in the Keys. We were on the radio with some guys that were south of us by 40 miles. They were down south of Marathon catching dolphins. So
it's kind of late in the year for that, isn't it?
It is, but the water was still warm. The water was still 82 degrees, and until that water cools off a little more, they're going to hang around, but it's going to cool off pretty quick here. So
Yeah,
I heard we got a cold front coming next week, and that'll probably take care of that. So
we were supposed to have a cold front this weekend here in on our side of the state.
That sort of fizzled out. That didn't happen.
Well, it lasted.
I'm on my back porch. I think it's about 80. So
it lasted over here for about a day, and we had some really nice weather. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was this morning it was 71 degrees out on our back porch. So it's been really nice in the mornings, It was right after the hurricane passed. It kind of helped move that cold front down through here. But the first day right after the hurricane, the wind was still blowing. It was so hot and humid outside. I mean, you couldn't stand outside for more than 10 minutes without being soaking wet. It was just like a sauna bath.
Wow.
Yeah.
I seem to remember.
Hopefully the hurricane should have taken the red tide away with it.
Unfortunately, it pushed a lot of it up into Tampa Bay because we had a bit of a tidal surge over here. And like I was saying earlier, you could really smell it strong the day after the hurricane passed. And then it seemed to subside.
Mallory Herzog is headed for Boca Grande this morning. They said that it's gone out of there, so she was going out to check. She was going to send in a report this morning, but haven't heard from her yet. But
yeah, well, I hope, if she calls you and lets you know and it's after your slot, you can call in at around 9:20. Mm-hmm. And if you want to, and let me know what she's got to say. I'm interested to hear if it's cleared out or not.
I will do that.
Yeah. I'm thinking about taking calls today at 9:20. So if you're listening and you want to call in and you have a comment or question, I think we may do that today at around 9:20 when we do the 9:20 slot. We'll give out the phone number, and if you want to call in and give us a comment or question, we'd be happy to do that for you. So that'll be later on today, something to look forward to. And any new submissions to the magazine, Robert?
Well, if anybody's got anything to send in, they need to send it today because the magazine, we start on it tomorrow morning and it'll be out next Saturday. So, if you're going to send it to pages@flfishmag.com and get it in today because we're starting on it in the morning. So.
That's great. I was saying earlier that Pam, who you're well aware, she's normally with me in the morning. She's on her way to Louisiana. She's fishing one of the tournaments, and she wanted to do a little pre-investigation, if you will, of the area. So we may hear from her a little later on as well. So
I hope she does well.
I'm sorry?
I said I hope she does well.
Oh, I told her, save some fish for the other people, and she just laughed at me.
Yeah.
It's amazing. She's going to take me fishing on a kayak. I'm going to make sure I have a life preserver on.
We got a camera on that?
Yeah, take videos of that one. We got to see that.
We need a camera on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So this question keeps rolling through my mind about going out on a kayak, and the question is, how long can you tread water?
That's right.
Yeah.
We better bring a chase boat around just to pick you up.
There you go.
Man. Yeah.
We're going to need somebody in a boat nearby because I got a feeling I'm going to be in the water.
That's right.
Yeah, my idea of a kayak's about a 17-foot whaler. So.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I'm with you.
That's about as small as I go. So.
Have you been kayak fishing, Robert?
No. No.
Closest
you and I have never met. I'm a large human being. I don't belong in a kayak.
I'm probably right there with you.
Yeah.
I've never fished in a kayak. The closest I've ever gotten was a canoe, but I'm told that the kayaks are more stable than the canoes are.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good news.
According to Pam, anyway.
They're more stable than threatening to come over here and take me out in a kayak, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure about that.
Well, I think that if you must be prepared, and part of the preparation is you got to have a good life jacket on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be the deal. So.
Well, the kayaks Pam has.
That, like Captain said, on a boat nearby. So.
There you go.
The
I think Captain Hook's trying to say something. I'll keep talking. Go ahead, Captain Hook.
The kayaks Pam has are so stable you can stand up in them. And they,
I do remember saying that. You're right.
Yeah.
But I have seen.
Well, I feel a little better then. So.
I have seen her kayak, and I got to tell you, it's not a very big boat. If you want to call it a boat.
No, it's about 13 foot.
Yeah, it is amazing. All right, I can see we're coming up on a break. Robert, before we go, sir, any parting thoughts, my friend?
Like I said, if you got something to send it to pages@flfishmag.com. Magazine will be out next Saturday, and I will try to get something back from Mallory and get back to you guys around 9:20.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Well, Robert, thank you. It's Robert Warner. He is with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. You can find him online. He is taking, if you've got something you want to share, he will take it and take a look at it. If it meets his criteria, he'll put it up on the digital format. And we will be right back. It's the Fish Florida Show this morning with Captain Hook and your one and only Riscala. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out. Fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, good morning to you, and thank you for taking the time to tune in. And if you miss any of the show, just know that we do play the show again every time that we have a live version. 3 o'clock that day, Sunday, we'll play the replay of that live version. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, would be Monday morning, I guess. We will replay it again. If you missed both of those, the shows are archived. You can find them online, fishfloridashow.com. You can also go on YouTube. We have them archived on YouTube. You can go on YouTube under the Fish Florida Show. And anything that you miss is always on the archives. You can always find it at any later time. Would appreciate it if you tell your friends about us. We're always eager to hear that new people are tuning in. It's always an honor and a privilege. I tell people an honor and a privilege, I really mean it, to have you take the time to tune in with us and allow us to share with you some of the things that we have. My next guest is Mike Lindell. Mike is with the King of the...
No, it's Mike Simcoe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got two mics here. I apologize. Mike Simcoe is with Kite Fishing, and I've learned a lot from Mike Simcoe. So let me bring him on here. Mike Simcoe with kitefishing.com. Good morning, Mike. I apologize about the confusion.
Hey, no problem. Good morning, Riscala. How's it going?
Pretty good there, Mike. You got any good fishing reports for us?
You know, I knew you were going to ask me that. Since the last time we spoke, I've been just really working on my boats to get them ready for what is sailfish season down in South Florida. So I haven't been fishing, but I do have some reports from friends that have been out and charter guys that have actually had some success in the last few weeks. But, you know, in South Florida, just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we got hit with that red tide. It finally worked its way around to around the Florida Straits out of the Gulf and kind of migrated north with the currents. And I guess because of heavy winds and seas, the spores of this red tide, you know, kind of activated and got airborne. I guess the wave action will actually emulsify them, move them into a gas form or a spore form, and then the east wind carries them to the beach. So we've had, if you haven't heard the reports, you know, people getting sick, eyes burning, nauseous. So it's beach closures for a while. Not a great scene down here, but it's been getting better. Winds have subsided. Currents are taking the stuff north and probably out, and we're back into fishing. So sorry for that long-winded thing with this red tide, but that's been our last few weeks.
Yeah, I had heard a couple weeks ago that they closed down the Jupiter Inlet for a few days because of it, and it was really bad there.
Yep. Well,
yeah.
this is something.
The guys that are. Go ahead. Sorry, Pascal.
I was just going to say, this is what you're describing has been happening on the West Coast for some time now.
Right.
There has been a let-up recently, but it has been happening on the West Coast very severely. And just hoping and praying that we don't experience that over here. Go ahead, Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree with you. Now, for the folks that have been venturing offshore or finding other areas within the intercoastal of fish, there have been some great reports. We, at this time of year, mid-October, you know, after just a couple pushes south, we'll get a nice mullet run. We've started to see those in the canal systems and on the beach in the last couple weeks as well. So for those folks that will actually get out there and get them, there's been a great beach bite of snook and spinner sharks, tarpon, jacks, getting offshore. And if you venture around and start looking for them, somewhere between the edge of 150 to 900, even further out, there's been a great dolphin bite. Swordfish are biting. So, you know, in spite of all this red tide stuff, there's still been some great fishing.
That's what I like to hear.
Look for it.
That's what I like to hear. Even though with all of this going on, we can still go fishing. Thank you, God.
Exactly.
So, Mike, tell me, you know, we talk a little bit about kite fishing when you come on. Let's talk a little bit about kite fishing. Any new news in kite fishing? Anything new that's come out?
Well, that's a great question. Thanks. I've been lately working with a new kite manufacturer, and his name is Pearl. And the name of his company is Pearl Kites. Pearl builds a beautiful, what I'll call a custom kite, just because of the components that he's using. So I've been working with him, and we've been test flying some kites and tweaking them, reducing weights and spots, and strengthening components and others. And I'm just really so pleased with the way these kites are turning out. That's not taking away from some of the other great manufacturers that are out there, but it's always nice to have choices. I'm pleased with that, and, I'm looking forward to maybe announcing, some of the new models that he's coming out with and some of the really beautiful, beautiful colors, and more importantly, this incredible warranty that he's coming out with. So lifetime warranty on the major components of the kite, which is going to really make a difference with guys and give them the confidence to know that if you dunk one, it's likely not break. And so that's the latest for, in the manufacturing end of things is what I've been working on. But other than that, this is the time of year that most sail fishermen in South Florida start tuning up their equipment, washing everything down that hasn't been used over the summer, and really getting the boats ready for what we hope to be a great sailfish season.
And when is that sailfish season going to start, Mike?
What's funny, this year it seems like it almost didn't end. We had this incredible bite of sailfish over the summer. So for the guys that would, fly a kite or drift some baits, live baits, it's been this great sailfish bite where normally you get maybe 1 or 2 shots a week. Guys are getting 4 and 5 shots a day during the summer. Yeah, so that's been a really awesome, side benefit to this year. But we would say that the prime of the sailfish season really starts almost now, end of October to the middle of November, starts then, and then works its way all the way into March. That's the traditional season in South Florida. Wow.
I didn't realize that, basically it didn't end this time. That's good. That's great news for me. Anything that supports more fish out there, that's my passion.
Nice.
All right, Mike. Let's see. We still got a couple of minutes. Anything else you want to bring up?
Well, yeah. Let me just throw this out there because I'm one of these guys that believes in getting the kite up almost at every opportunity that you can. So I've got a couple buddies that are heading offshore right now. Scott Goldsmith and my buddy Rush. They're going sword fishing today, but I can guarantee you they'll throw a kite up while they're out there. So while they're power drifting for swordfish by day, they will throw a live bait or 2 out on the kite while they're dropping for swordfish. And it wouldn't surprise me to hear that they got some really great fish as a sidebar to the sword fishing they're doing.
Icing on the cake.
Recommend anybody else. What's that?
Icing on the cake.
Icing on the cake, and I would recommend that for anybody that's out there drifting for snapper on the reef.
Yep.
If you're out there anywhere on the wrecks, we throw a kite up at the same time and watch what happens.
I wish that I had known about kite fishing earlier. I think I shared with you when I first heard about kite fishing, I thought it was kind of silly. What are you going to go get? Because I flew kites as a kid. I don't know many people who didn't. And I thought to myself, it's that kind of kite. Who's going to fly a kite like that and go fish? That's ridiculous. I had no idea it was so. It's straightforward, but it can be very sophisticated. And when you tell me, like, what is it, 3? You can put 3 lines on a kite?
Sure. You could fly 1, 2, even 3 kites from the boat because we can angle them away from each other, and then 3 baits per kite. So now, on top of the fishing that we're normally doing, the men and women on the boat that can manage it, you get another 9 baits out there.
Wow. Look at the opportunity that offers you. 9 different baits versus like maybe 1 or 2. And I'm curious, I meant to ask you earlier, isn't swordfish, I don't know, so I may sound silly asking this, but isn't swordfish normally caught at night?
Well, that was something that people believed in years gone by, but with the help of guys like R.J. Boyle, Bobby Boyle, and Nick Stanczyk down the Keys, they brought this daytime sword fishing to all of us over the last decade or so, and it's just such a productive way to fish for them. It's in broad daylight, but it's very technical. You got to get a weight and bait down, some 1,700 feet, sometimes 1,800 feet. And you're fishing this very technical power drift into the current of the Gulf Stream and fishing for swords by day. They don't know I won't say they don't know the difference, but the swordfish tend to go more toward the bottom, into the depths by day, and that's where you find them.
And what do you think is like an average size swordfish, if there is such a thing?
I would say on average, guys are catching them in the 100 pounds. If it's a keeper, if it's a keeper, minimally it'll be something in the 60-pound range.
Mhm.
It's just minimal 47-inch length. But, they always tend to be a little bigger than that if it's a keeper. So I would say the average is a little bit over 100. And then I've had many a friend that have gotten up into the high 500, 600 pound.
Oh, wow.
And
So
they are bigger.
They can really get big then.
Oh, they get big, and it's just an incredible fight. Rush, who I referred to a few minutes ago, he was out there a couple months ago and fought one for over 11 hours before he broke the braid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he on light tackle or something?
No, not at all. When I say light tackle, he happened on this one to hook it on an electric reel and 80 to 90 pound braid. So
for 11 hours.
If you
my goodness.
11 hours.
How big was the fish?
Well, they looked at it and he was sure it was over 5. I mean, he's caught so many swords, he really knows how to judge the weights, but biggest he'd ever hooked. And the best part was it had another one of equal size next to it following it around during that whole fight.
Wow. So maybe it was a pair. Maybe as if there is such a thing in fishing. I don't.
Oh yeah. I think it's common if they'll pair up when they get that size. So
that's amazing.
I've heard that story many a time. Mm-hmm.
So I haven't had the opportunity to have a lot of swordfish, but the last time I had some, I recall it being almost like steak. Is that your opinion?
Mm.
Well, it's got its own unique flavor, which is delicious. But I know what you're talking about because it's got that firmness to it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only delicious, but it's got that firmness that does feel like steak. But
Yep.
Yeah. I have to say the taste is very unique and delicious.
Wow. No, I know. Captain Hook's back there in the background. He's itching away to ask something. Go ahead, Captain Hook. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that one of the greatest ways instead of filleting the fish, you cut them across and you steak them. And what I do is I put Italian salad dressing on them and then throw them on the smoker for a little while.
Oh wow!
And they're so good. I mean, and it doesn't taste like it doesn't have a fishy flavor at all. It's very good. I would say it's right up there to me with dolphin, mahi-mahi, and snook, it's right there.
Never have caught a swordfish.
I'll try that.
That'll be one of my bucket list things. Go swordfish fishing.
Yeah, and it's if you catch a big one, I don't know what the rules are about selling them, but I know they bring a ton of money at the market.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to have a license to sell them, and,
right?
So generally speaking, what happens with the recreational guys is they'll bring them home and fly them up, steak them up, and you're giving the neighborhood fish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too much fish for one or two or four people when you get a decent sized one, so it's better to spread it around and eat it fresh.
That's right.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you can feed a neighborhood, that's for sure.
At 500 pounds, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, Robert. Well, I've got a couple of minutes left. Any parting thoughts, my friend?
Well, I would say get ready. If you're in our area down here in South Florida, which is really from the Keys to Martin County area and even a little bit further north to Sebastian, get those boats ready. This is transition time. The fishing is just going to get better and nicer and hotter, and I really can't wait. So between now and March, it's just anything goes, and go out there and fly a kite.
There you go.
I apologize. I realize I just said Robert. I'm sitting here looking at the log, and I said Robert, and I meant Mike. I apologize, Mike. I'm sure you've been called worse than Robert, though, right?
I was going to say, you could call me worse. Better than I.
Mike, thank you so much for taking time to call in. Always a pleasure to have you on. You always got information that some things that keep my ears open, if you will. I wish you a wonderful day, my friend. God bless you.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Okay.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much. Mike Simcoe with kitefishing.com. You can find him online. A world of information. If you've never gone kite fishing, I'll tell you, it's very interesting to see what he has available. And like I said, he's always got something very interesting to say. We're up against the break. We'll be right back. Please don't go away. It is the Fish Florida Show this morning with Captain Hook and Riskala.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskala. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit
ignition. And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Atkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
And I guess Riscala's letting the dog out. This is Captain Hook. Didn't quite make it back there, did you, bud?
That little booger will come up and start barking while I'm on the air, and so you hear in the background, woof, woof, woof. He is such a character. Never had a dog like this. Have you ever seen a dog that whisper barks?
Yeah.
He whisper barks at me. He doesn't, and then if I don't answer him, then he really barks, and it's a very high-pitched, very loud bark, and it will definitely get your attention very quickly. He's a white Siberian Husky. He is absolutely gorgeous. I got him about 3 months ago as a rescue, and we're kind of learning from each other how to communicate. I've never rescued a dog that's he's 2 years old. All the dogs I've ever had, I've had from a puppy, and I've trained them from the time that they were a puppy as they grew up. And so communication was something that happened naturally. So this is kind of new for me. Yes, that's what was happening, Captain Hook. You're right on. He's over here bugging me. Anyway. So my next guest, I believe we're going to have Kyle on. It's going to be Kyle or Andy, but we're going to have one of them on from Dockside Service. Good morning.
Good morning. It's Andy from Dockside Fuel. Kyle was sleeping in it this morning. We had out early this morning, and he actually went back to sleep because there's some early morning divers that wanted to get out there. So we were out fueling before light, even, believe it or not.
Wow.
Well, good morning, Andy. Thank you for calling in, my friend.
Well, thank you very much for having us. And if you've got a Siberian Husky rescue, you probably are going through the shedding season right now, I would imagine, so there's hair everywhere.
Yeah. I mentioned he is white. My carpet is turning white by the day.
Yep. Yeah, we have tumble fur.
My younger son has a rescue also, and it's a golden retriever, and it is shedding like crazy. There's hair everywhere. Well, my heart goes out to you as far as that goes. but you saved the dog, and you probably gave him a much better life than he had.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, Andy. Now, for those of you who may be tuning in and you don't know where Andy is, he's down in the Keys somewhere. He covers the Keys, and we'll talk a little bit about what Andy does. What is it exactly that you do, Andy?
Well, we fuel boats from Key Largo to Key West. We're based in Key Largo, so we have more customers in the upper Keys than we actually do in the lower Keys. But we do go all the way to Key West. Mostly in the upper Keys, if you call us for fuel, we can usually get you the same day. We ask for as much notice as you can. The lower Keys, especially this time of year, we're not down there quite as often just because it's the off season right now. We're between seasons. So we're just not quite as busy, but we do service all of the Keys, and we bring boat fuel, whether it's a Rec 90 for your outboard or marine diesel for your diesel boat. Bring it right to your house, fill up your boat, get you ready to get out on the water.
I don't think that we could make it much easier. That's simple as a phone call, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep, simple as a phone call or a text. You can book us online at our website, www.dockside-fuel.com. And there's a calendar on there. You can book us that way, too. But a text or a phone call is really the easiest way to get in touch with us. And we'll get you scheduled. We'll get you fueled up. And today's a beautiful day to be out on the water. So if you need fuel, give us a call.
So right now, where are you at? Are you in Key Largo?
Yep, in Key Largo now. Yep, we had a couple of deliveries early this morning. We're actually done for the day, it looks like, believe it or not. But like I said, we're kind of the off season right now. We have not been so busy. So if you need fuel, now's a good time to make sure the boat's topped off. It's going to be a beautiful boating day. Flat, calm, and
that's what I'm seeing on the radar. It's just going to be a gorgeous day out there. Any news on the fishing front? What can you tell us about what's going on down here in the Keys?
Well, let's see. What we heard yesterday, because we've been fueling, people have been going out the last couple of days because the wind has finally died down. Wahoo, we heard of two big wahoo getting caught off of Key Largo yesterday or the day before. Some nice-sized mutton snapper. Not many dolphin, just a very, very few dolphin. And when you find them, it doesn't seem like they really want to eat. You gotta tempt them into eating because they're not starving. But the reef fishing has been pretty good. Although from what I understand, with the wind being down, the current is down a little bit also.
Did you experience anything from the storm that came through, Hurricane Michael? Did you get any effect from that being down there in the Keys?
Yeah, I mean, it was windy. It didn't even turn into really a tropical storm till it was just about by us. We had, 20 or 30 knots of wind, but honestly, that's not a whole lot to really do any damage or anything. I mean, it was windy and nobody was out boating for a few days, but as it passed by. Yeah. But no, we no damage really. It wasn't anything of a problem for us.
Wow, that's great. Have you been down to the Lower Keys anytime recently?
We were down there last week. We were down at Big Pine last week. Things are better, but they're not. There's still people. There's still houses that are messed up. There's still people that are either rebuilding or trying to get rebuilt. But slowly but surely, it's coming back. But it's going to be a while yet before it's really back to total normal. And I just don't see it. It's probably, to be normal, probably another year away. It just takes forever.
It takes a while, yeah. It takes a while. I was in Hurricane Andrew. My family experienced Hurricane Andrew. We lost a whole neighborhood when that hurricane came through. And that's the reason I live where I live now, up here in West Palm Beach. We couldn't find anywhere. There were so many people that went homeless in a matter of a day or two. It was hundreds of thousands of people literally moving out of Miami trying to find homes. There were so many homes damaged. It took forever to get everything back to anywhere near normal. Our home, it was over 6 months that we were out of the house before we could go back and live in the house again. The entire neighborhood was gone. No electricity, no phones, no cable, no nothing for 6 months. So I can imagine those poor people up in Panama City that just experienced Michael, what they're going to be going through. And the people down in the Keys what was it, Irma that came through, I believe, still recovering.
And Michael was a bad storm.
Yeah.
No doubt about it up there in the Panhandle.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's one of the things that we deal with here in Florida. It's just like the people, I guess, that live over there in California. There's always that question in the back of your mind: is the ground going to shake underneath me? I don't know what I'd do if the ground started to shake underneath me. I think I'd probably have to change my underwear.
It's still pretty amazing living here in Florida and in the Keys in particular. There's the bad part of hurricanes, but you prepare as best you can, and then you rebuild whenever whatever happens.
And the good part is so much. The good part is so much greater than the bad part. There's so much good, and it's part of life. There's always something there that can cause you to shed a tear here or there. But generally speaking, the good part is far outweighs the bad part of living here in South Florida. And I wanted to ask you. I don't know if you mentioned it earlier about the red tide. Are you experiencing any of that down there?
No, not that I know of, and I haven't heard of anybody complaining about that. I know they've had it up by you a little bit, and on the West Coast, but somehow it's missing us, and I'm not quite sure how. Maybe it's the Gulf Stream. Maybe it's not actually coming around the Keys from the Gulf to get to the ocean side here. I'm not really sure, but we haven't heard of anything like that going on anywhere. So I guess at this point, knock on wood, we feel very lucky because the reefs would just be destroyed if we got issue bad.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that, because they have had, it hasn't been a pretty picture on the other side of the state. There's a good deal of recovery that has to go on over there. So that's excellent news to hear that we're basically untouched in the Keys, at least for now. There's a mouth going off in the background telling me he wants more attention. So that's excellent news. All right. Well, we still got a couple of minutes. Anything else you want to share with us?
No, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's our slow time here, so give us a call. We'll happily get out there. I had promises from a couple people who we fueled the last few days who said, I'm going to text you a fishing report so that you can share it on the radio show, and that they were going to tune in this morning, and nobody texted me. Just the people we talked to. So I'm a little bit let down by some of our customers who made me promises and said, yeah, we're going to let you know how we did. So either they did really badly or they just forgot. I'm not quite sure.
That's right.
So, but we were this week has been so slow. We were asking around. We need fishing reports.
Hot dog.
You know, they've been slow coming in. But yeah, if anybody needs fuel, give us a call. 305-923-6509. We'll get out there. We'll get your boat topped off, and we'll get you out on the water. Beautiful day for fishing and diving.
Yes. And on the web as well, Andy. What is it on the web?
Yep, on the web, www.dockside-fuel.com. Go to our website. There's a calendar. You can actually make an appointment right through the calendar. And set it up. If you don't want to text you don't even want to talk to us, just go on the website, set up your appointment, and amazing how many people don't want to talk to you if they don't have to.
Well, it's the age of technology. I think Captain Hook has a question before you go.
No, I'm good, but I just wanted to mention, a lot of people, we talk about Rec 90, and some people have asked me, he says, what is the difference? Rec 90 is a gasoline that doesn't have any ethanol in it. And the reason for that is, the ethanol in the regular street gas just kills outboard motors and your fuel system. It just tears them up. And, I don't know what it is that's in it. I think it's a plastic that the manufacturers are using or whatever, but it just dries out the plastic and breaks off. It turns into little brittle pieces and stuff. So I just wanted to get that out to the people that don't understand what Rec 90 is. It's regular gasoline without ethanol in it.
Right, and I would just like to add on that, if I could, really quickly. You're right. It's the plastic, it's the rubber gaskets and seals that the alcohol works on, and you can run regular gasoline in your boat, but in a year or 2 years or 3 years down the road, and you're having problems, and you can't figure out why. It's because you've been running regular gasoline. You got to run the non-ethanol. The rules are different for boats in the way they build them, and they do not have to have all of that stuff that they have in cars.
Right.
That will let them run the alcohol through the engine.
So that's what the ethanol basically dries up the rubber, just to let people know. In my industry, in the laser printer industry, which is what I do full time, when I first started, they told us don't use alcohol. Stay away from alcohol because it will dry up the rubber. And of course, if you've ever looked at a printer, it's got lots of rubber rollers and exit rollers, entry rollers. And so we stay away from using that kind of thing because it will dry up the rubber, cause the rubber to get brittle, and it creates other problems. So I'm sure it's the same thing with the boats. And we have rubber gas. Some of these boats have rubber gaskets. So you could be looking at a serious problem. Again, it's not going to happen right away, but it's something that will occur over a period of time. You want to make sure you got the right fuel. You want to make sure that the person that you're getting the fuel from, whether that's a marina or someone like Andy, has clean fuel. I think that's another thing that we really don't talk about a lot. Having the fuel that enters into your vessel clean, because some of these places, and I don't know of any one place in particular, but I know, generally speaking, these places have big fuel tanks, and there's a possibility that you could pick up something on the way through the pump and into your vessel. When you're dealing with somebody that comes out to you, fuels your vessel for you, they know what they've got. They're aware of everything that's going on. It's a better picture all the way around. And by the way, just so that you know, many times, Dockside Fuel Service, the cost that it will cost you for your fuel is very competitive, sometimes even less than the marinas. Am I correct, Andy?
Yeah, we are almost consistently less than the marinas, and then the way the pricing has been recently is 60 to 75 cents less than the marina. And I would just like to add, we also filter, where our supplier filters the fuel when we buy it. We run it through a 5-micron filter on the truck so that you're getting the cleanest fuel that you could have. Most boats have a 10-micron filter, so we're screening more stuff out of your fuel than your boat actually lets into the engine.
Okay.
Every gallon that goes through the truck gets filtered just because we want to make sure everybody gets the best fuel possible.
Many years ago when I had my boat, I trailered my boat, and I used the street gas. I had an inboard outboard, and I used the street gas. And I went to a gas station. I got some gas. I think it was one of the cheaper gas stations. I don't want to say any names. It was one of the less expensive gas stations at the time. And I got some gas. And we went down to the Keys. My favorite place was to put the boat in at Papa Joe's down at in Isla Mirada, across from Bud and Mary's. Put the boat in. We took off. We got out to the lighthouse out there, something Alligator. Rock. I can't think. Alligator Rock. Got right around the lighthouse, and the motor started sputtering. In the process of pumping the gas from the gas station, I picked up some water. We picked up water in the fuel, And it really made it miserable for us that day. We had to come back in limping, basically. Well, we made it back in, but we had to come back in limping because of the water and the fuel. The engine just wouldn't get up there in the RPMs. It started to get up there and then die out, So something to think about. Know who it is that you're getting your fuel from. If you get it from somebody like Dockside Fuel Service, you just heard, it's double filtered. You're going to make sure that you have the cleanest that is available to you, and the end result of that is less problems. Less problems means more enjoyability out there on the water, right?
Absolutely, and that's it. Is we just want our customers to be happy, but mostly we want to give them good fuel. And like I said, we filter it. We have a water separator filter on there, so we're not giving you any water, we're not giving you any particles. You're getting some clean fuel to get you going.
Well, thank you, Andy. I'm up against the break. I'm completely out of time. Andy with Dockside Fuel Service. You can find him online. You can find him on Facebook. Please give him a call if you can use his services. Please don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard, North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Hey, this is Captain Hook for Statewide Pest Control Services. They've been serving the west coast of Florida since 1987. Statewide does it all. Pest control, termites, lawns, mosquitoes, tent fumigations, etc. This announcement is from their mold division. Since Hurricane Charlie in 2004, all their personnel are certified in mold and moisture control. Their two-step services are guaranteed to get you back in your home quicker and in most cases paid by your insurance company. Give them a call at 877-488-7378. That's statewide pest control services for all your pest and mold control needs, serving Florida from Pasco to Lee counties. Statewide pest control services, 877-488-7378. 877-488-7378. That's 877-488-7378.
You're listening to WDBFradio.com, a tune-in station.
WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com. I grabbed my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very good morning to you, and thank you for taking the time to tune in. It is the Fish Florida Show. If you've missed any part of this show, you can always come back at 3 p.m. this afternoon. It will be played here on WDBFradio.com. And if you happen to miss that, then you can't get to sleep early in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, we're going to play the show again. For those of you who are wide awake and can't figure out what to do and how to go to sleep. And if you miss both of those, there's always the archives. We do archive the shows. They are available on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, Fish Florida Show. They're also available on our website, thefishfloridashow.com. You can go there and see any of the archives that we have, and you can go from there. My next guest, Betty Bowman, and the thing I like about Betty is, as we've mentioned so many times on the show, that women play a vital part of this industry that we're in, that is a male-dominated industry, basically, and that women do play a very vital part of that. And this particular lady takes the time out to show women how to go fishing. Her organization is Ladies Let's Go Fishing. A very good morning to you, Betty. Thank you so much for calling in.
Top of the morning to you, too.
How are you doing? Are you down in South Florida, I think, down in Miami or Homestead?
Fort Lauderdale area, and
Okay.
I'm working on our fundraiser and auction for our next weekend's Ladies Let's Go Fishing event in the Keys, just putting numbers on trips to the Bahamas and fishing stuff, so the ladies will have a chance to win tackle, and it's also online on our auction, so those who can't come and anybody else can just kind of bid on it. And this fundraiser is one of the ways Ladies Let's Go Fishing can bring opportunities for women to learn, practice, and go fishing.
I love it. I love it. And you know, we have Pam Worth. Pam is not with me this morning. She's on her way to Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. She's fishing one of the tournaments. But Pam is, I got to tell you, if you've never, go to the best way I can explain it, go to the Facebook page, Fish Florida Show. You will see a picture of Pam holding a sailfish. The sailfish is almost as big as the kayak that she's in. Very impressive, very impressive. And there's a lot of ladies out there that might enjoy fishing if they really knew how to do it. Well, you've got somebody like Betty Bowman who can take the time and kind of educate you as to how to do it and how to have fun doing it. It is, for many people, it is very enjoyable. And it is a way to keep the family together. That's my passion of this particular thing, is to keep your family together. Our families are under attack. They've been under attack for quite some time. A way to keep your family together, go fishing. Enjoy the day. You, your wife, or your loved one, or your husband, your kids, you're all experiencing the same experience at the same time. In my lifetime, that has shown me is that it makes the bonds of the relationships stronger. And like I said, the family's under attack. This is a beautiful way to keep your family together. And my mom loved fishing. Thank you, God. It was a great thing for me. And I think a lot of ladies out there would love to go fishing, but they feel kind of intimidated because they really don't. Again, it's a male-dominated industry. They really don't get involved in it. But they'd like to if somebody would take the time. And here we have Betty who would take the time. Website, Betty?
www.ladiesletsgofishing.com.
Pretty straightforward. And
that's us.
Now you mentioned something coming up next week.
We have our grand finale of 2018. As you know, it takes up to 200 hours to plan one of these, to get all the speakers. So we even have Stu Apt coming to show fly fishing, some industry greats, Gary Ellis. Probably have about a dozen instructors, and this weekend the ladies are going to have a couple networking parties, because we make opportunities for them to meet each other and make new friends, and they do. We have a full day of classes and hands-on practice where they can throw a cast net, practice spin casting, fly casting with Stu Apt. He's an industry great. They can tie their knots. We have guys and girls to show them how to put on their lures and, what goes between the lure and the rod, because we weren't born knowing this. Mm-hmm. And it's very non-intimidating. And they get to choose from 2 days of fishing in the Florida Keys, inshore, offshore, or party boat. And the Florida Keys has the best fishing, really, in the state of Florida.
I don't know you can top the Florida Keys anywhere nearby here. Anyway, so how does somebody get involved in this?
Oh, they just go online and register. It's that easy. It's open to the public. We have some great instructors, and what's cool about the Keys is they can go offshore, and once they've learned, catch mahi and have a chance at a sailfish. Every once in a while we have a sailfish caught and released, or go inshore for snook, redfish, trout, tarpon, and bonefish.
Definitely not a boring time.
Oh, yeah, and, everybody can share in the excitement, because usually it takes me about 3 or 4 days, but I put the pictures online in a photo gallery.
That's amazing. And this is going to happen when?
October 19th through the 21st.
Okay, so it's over a weekend, basically.
Yeah, we try to do most of our events over the weekend. The class is almost full. We only have so much space, to put out the tables and do the hands-on part.
Wow. Captain Hook?
And Betty, where is the venue that you're going to hold this at in the Keys?
We picked the Tavernier Elks because it's on the bay side, and they have a big yard. We can even show trailer backing. We need a lane for that. And the Keys is pretty congested. There's not a lot of space, and we have Tony DiPolito from Magic Tilt, who's going to let the ladies learn how to back the trailer themselves, and that's one of the most intimidating things about fishing. You need to learn if you turn the wheel, the trailer does that.
Right.
And how to go slow, and practice before you get in the launch ramp, and everybody is pressuring you to hurry up. You get nervous, they're looking at you, and if you make a mistake, everybody's laughing. So that's one of the intimidation factors that we try to help ladies by showing them to practice in advance.
That sounds like a good time. That sounds like a good experience. I don't know how many times I've been to the boat ramps, and you see even men that can't back up a trailer.
Well, a lot of mistakes and a lot of yelling happens at the boat ramps, and that's why we're the no yelling school of fishing, because we try to teach skills that will enable the ladies to be more competent. And yelling is really more experienced people expecting the inexperienced people to know what to do, and then they get frustrated when even the basic commands aren't obeyed because the person has no idea what the experienced person is trying to tell them to do.
Right. Right. So is there going to be any kind of prizes or anything for this, or it's just a kind of a get together for the ladies to go out and fish, or is this an actual tournament?
Well, I have a couple things going on. I mean, the fundraiser, I have almost 100 items, and they're good. Trips to the Bahamas and stuff. I have door prizes. I have raffles, and we try to do this so inexpensively we can get all kinds of, tackle rods and reels and such in the hands of the ladies. And then I have this Fishing Fever tournament for those fishing both days. It's not intimidating. We put your name in the hat if you catch a fish. There is a prize for the largest and longest, inshore and offshore fish. And we're putting together today some rods and reels, some Costa del Mar and brand name sunglasses, Smiths, We've got some great prizes for the ladies, and a couple of them are bringing their husbands too, which is fine with us if they want to learn as a couple. That's just super.
Yeah.
It's female oriented, but there aren't really any other types of venues where they can actually learn, practice hands-on, and then go fishing on a charter boat.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. How many people do you have entered so far?
We have almost 50, and that's about all the room can handle.
Oh,
and
wow.
we even have a party with an appetizer contest, things to get the ladies mingling with each other.
It sounds like a great time. Sounds like a great time.
Yeah, and they're coming from all over the U.S. I have them come from, like, California, Arizona, Midwest, Bahamas. They're coming from all over.
Wow.
I like the part where you said you work with them on having the experience to back up a trailer. What a nightmare that is. It's anytime somebody takes, to me, this is a passion of mine. Anytime somebody takes their time out of their life to share with you something, understand that your time is non-refundable. So when you share your time with somebody to teach them something, that's one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most valuable things that you can do. When you take your time to teach somebody how to boat, I remember the days of when I first got my first boat. It was a little 16-foot, like a skiff. And learning to back that thing up, my gosh, it was so embarrassing. And it's like Captain Hook was saying earlier, you're at the dock, people are watching you.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes there's a current, and you're trying to get that boat on the trailer, and it goes in crooked, and, I've had my own experiences at the launch ramp where my husband would back the boat down, and it would come flying off the boat, and I'm supposed to hold it off, and the rope just went flying out of my hands. I wasn't strong enough to stop it, and the boat just went floating away.
There are some serious nightmares that I have seen at the boat ramps, and one of the things that you can avoid having happen at the boat ramps is a lot of practice ahead of time, and that's what came to mind when you started talking about that. I made the silly mistake of hooking up. When you pull the trailer forward, it's not that hard. The biggest thing is to take your corners wide, but backing it up, that's a whole nother story. And if I had the wherewithal then that I have now, I would have practiced before going right to the dock, because the first time around was pretty embarrassing.
Well, yeah, and at the launch ramp, you have people walking around that you have to avoid. You have a finite space that trailer has to go. It's got to go straight. You don't want to go back too far. And there's, a lot of yelling that happens at the launch ramp because the person directing you doesn't realize, oh, God, I forgot which way the wheel goes because the trailer goes the opposite way. Yeah. And then you get all nervous. And then you do it slow, and everybody's like, well, hurry up. Everybody else just throws their boat in the water and goes driving off. When you're novice, it takes you longer.
Yeah, make it look so simple. That's how you can tell the pros. The pros from the amateurs. The pros back up, put their boat in the water, and in a matter of seconds, they're gone. The amateurs, an hour later, they're still trying to get the boat in the water. Oh, my goodness.
Right. And the other people have to wait because, if you don't know, if you got to take it slow.
Yeah.
If you go too fast, a disaster can happen. Yeah. I've had a few myself.
Wow.
I had the boat come off the trailer one time. We were backing down, and the safety wasn't on. Oh. And it slid off the trailer before it hit the water. Oh. So that wasn't fun.
Yeah. Oh, my. Yeah,
it's just coordinated. One person has to tell the other one what's going on.
Yeah. Captain Hook?
Yeah, I can attest to that. My ex-wife dropped my truck in the water when we were backing my boat in the water. Oh, and I swear the trailer and the truck passed me underneath the boat. And
she went, the whole truck was submerged.
Yeah, the whole truck went in, and then it floated back up. I jumped in it. It was a big 4x4, and I jumped back in it, started it up, but I couldn't get, the trailer was pulling down the back of the truck, otherwise I could have gotten it out. And it wrapped itself around the pole.
There's been times we back up and somebody forgets to take the tie downs off. And they've got the boat reversed. They're like, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You get all excited about fishing, and it's if you've got two people, it's coordination.
Yeah.
So We try to do our best, and thanks to Magic Tilt, they provide the trailer and the instructor because they care about women learning to fish and hope they remember the name when they go to buy trailers.
Yeah.
What was the name again?
Magic Tilt.
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm very familiar with. Are they down in Miami now?
They're out of Tampa area.
Out of Tampa. Okay, because I used to. There's somebody down in Miami that I guess was a distributor for them. I used to get parts from for my trailer. So thank you, Magic Tilt.
Yeah, and we have a new boat sponsor, Scout Boats, and they provide a lot of trailers for Scout. So our next event, we'll have a Scout boat for the ladies to perhaps try boat handling.
There you go.
Wow. Well, Betty,
next year.
I am up against a break, but before we go, I want to give you a minute to any parting thoughts before you go that you want to share.
Yeah, we teach conservation, so anglers are they know that when they go in. We got to thank our sponsors, and the fundraiser is going to help us because last year Hurricane Irma really made it tough for us for our fall events. So we've got a lot of ground to make up financially. So anybody that wants to go online and bid, bids are open online till Tuesday, and check our website for next year's events.
And the website is?
LadiesLet'sGoFishing.com.
Very straightforward. LadiesLet'sGoFishing.com. It is Betty Bowman, and you can find her online. Thank you so much, Betty. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for taking the time to call in. Greatly appreciate it. Wish you a great weekend. We are up against a break. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within. Over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Atkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida when the sun shines all day. It calls me a grouper. So I'm fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Fish Florida Show, and it is an honor and a privilege to be with you. I am your host, Riscala. This morning, I have with me a special co-host, and that is Captain Hook. He's the guy who's in the background, takes care of all of the stuff that happens. He's kind of the guy, he's the oil in the motor, if you will. Without him, nothing would turn. So thank you so much for what you do, Captain Hook, and I appreciate you being the co-host with me this morning.
My pleasure. Always a good time.
So I think we have Robert back on. He's going to give us an update. Robert, are you there?
I am back. I just got a report in from Mallory Herzog at Big Bully Outdoors in Boca Grande. The red tide is gone in the Port Charlotte, Boca Grande area. So.
Thank you, God. Hallelujah. That's great.
It's about time.
Go ahead, Captain Hook.
It's about time. I'm telling you, they've had a really, really tough season, a really tough time.
Yeah, they lost their tarpon season,
right,
for the most part. So, but it's gone now. So,
wow. Well, that's excellent news. Anything else you want to share with us? This is our open slot time.
Nope, I'll let the other folks call in. I just talked to her and just wanted to let you guys know that they're out there this morning and it is gone. So,
wow, that put a big smile on my face. Thank you, Robert. Greatly appreciate that.
Now you guys have a great Sunday.
The question is, where did it go? You know?
Yeah, well, you said it came up to Tampa, but
yeah.
Hopefully it dissipated, but
that's not the right idea. The right idea is for it to just go away. But they've been hit really hard down in that area, and at least it's gone out of there now. So.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, the frustration for me is I know personally that we have technology that would clean this water before they release it, you know, either to the east or the west. They're bent on not spending the money that is necessary. The latest they're talking about is drilling a well, a 3,000-foot well.
Well, no, did you see the news the other day? They approved the land for the reservoir.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was in the news the other day. Brian Mast has been pushing this, and they approved the purchase of the land for the reservoir the other day.
Thank you, Brian.
I think it was Thursday. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
thank you, Brian. Wow.
So the reservoir is coming.
Excellent.
Now the problem is, what do we do for the next 10 years until it's done? And that's what the real issue is how they let the water out of there and when they let the water out of there. So.
And they're still going to continue until this thing is ready. I'm just assuming at this point, but you know what they say about assuming, but I'm still assuming that they're going to discharge east and west until this thing is completed.
They
down
are,
south.
but there's a way to control that. They keep the water level so high in Lake Okeechobee that's what he was questioning with the Army Corps of Engineers is, why do you keep it at 13 feet? And they said, well, we supply water to the Palm Beach area. And he said, okay, so at 10 feet do you quit, or at 8 feet do you quit? And he stepped them all the way down to 5 feet, and they hadn't quit. And he said, so why in April, when you know the rains are coming, is there 13 feet of water in there when it's hot and the algae starts to bloom, instead of just letting it out a little bit at a time so you can store the water all summer and not let it out? So that's the next issue to deal with. So.
Wow. Brian Mass, thank you. I doubt that he's listening, but if anybody knows him and you know, you can give him a message. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Something that we
have a great day.
Need. Thanks, Robert.
You got it.
Something that we desperately need here in South Florida. So I'm gonna open the lines up. If you want to call in, if you have a comment or question, you can give us a call. The number is 727-498-0459. 727-498-0459. If you want to give us a call, give us a comment, you have a question, we'll be happy to take it. This is an open discussion slot. Possibly Pam Worth, my co-host who's normally with me, may be calling in. She's up in the Louisiana area somewhere, kind of pre-fishing. She's fishing a tournament. She's kind of checking it out before she actually starts with the tournament. And anything new coming up with you, Captain Hook?
Well, we still have the big boat out of the water over there on the East Coast, which turned into just doing the bottoms and the props and everything. Now it turned into we decided to paint the whole boat and redo the transom, and now it's one of those deals. It turned into a project, but hopefully in the next month we'll have the old girl back in the water and then put away and ready for the season. We'll see.
Wow. Well, hey, keep me in mind when you get back over this side of the state.
I sure will. Yep. We have one nice trip that's coming up. We'll be taking the boat back out from, down around the Space Center back up to, the New Smyrna area. And so that's a nice run. Yeah, it's about a 3.5 hour run, which is
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know, in my mind, I thought it was just a real short trip. 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Is New Smyrna north or south of where you're at?
Just north of us. Just north of where we're at.
Wow. Is that where you normally keep it up there?
Yeah. It stays right off the intercoastal on Oak Hill, they call it. Edgewater, Oak Hill area.
So that must be nice. You just pull up, get in the vessel and go.
Yeah, well, hopefully when, we get it, now we've got it back in the water. I mean, we got it out of the water, so once we get it back in the water, we have to go through and check and make sure all the stuff's, nothing's leaking and all the systems are working and stuff like that, and then shake it down a little bit, and then we'll mosey it on back home.
Well, the best of the situation for you there with the boat, it brings back memories for me, because I would start on my boat and I'm just going to work on this one thing, and before I know it, I'm working on something else and something else and something else.
Yeah.
It's almost a non-ending job, really, when you think about it. It's always something that can be worked on.
And for some reason, the owner of this boat, every time I think we're getting close, he decides he wants to do something else to it. So.
Have you ever been down, I think it's called Ocean Reef?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I had a friend who was a commercial captain, and he took care of a multi-million-dollar yacht down there in Ocean Reef. And that was, we were talking about there's always something to do. That vessel, that yacht was so clean in the engine room, you could literally eat off the engine.
Right.
Constant work. There wouldn't be a day that somebody wasn't on. And this was, it was docked by his multi-million-dollar home right there. I don't know if you call it an intercoastal. It was a canal, a really big canal. And, docked right there by the house, and there was always, every day, somebody on the boat doing something. Every day. Whether it was working on the outside of the boat, whether it was working in the engine room, whether it was working on any of the electronics. Always, every day, somebody working on that boat. It's a constant, for something that big, I can imagine. Something, that's just never ending. And from my experience with having little experience that I had the 24-foot. My biggest was a 24-foot wellcraft. I had it for about 5 or 6 years. Was a trailer. I'm constantly working on the trailer. My gosh, anytime that I took it down, down to the Keys and dropped it in the water and came back, I'd have to work on that trailer. It seemed like a never-ending rust story with the trailer.
Yep. That's the way they are. That's why I like the aluminum trailers. But the aluminum trailers, you still have the running gear on the bottom, and the axles and everything are still made out of steel.
That's where I had the issues, was around the axles. The axles and the fenders. I just couldn't seem to keep fenders. They would rust out after a while. That's one of the things I have in a boat. But you know what? If I had to do it over, I'd do it all the same way. It was some of the most enjoyable times that we're out there on the ocean. I've been out on the ocean 14, 15, upwards of 20 miles offshore, and you think that you're in a puddle. It's just absolutely flat. I think today is going to be something like that. Because it's, again, I'm looking at the radar. Little to none happening out there with regard to the weather. They're still saying, my gosh, we're down to 3 miles an hour on the wind speed. Visibility at 10 miles. So it's a very clear day. I'm looking at the radar itself. Very little going on out there. One little spotted area around Fort Lauderdale, just south of Fort Lauderdale on our side. One very small area just south of Marco Island on the other side. And virtually nothing going on down in the Keys. So today's the day, my friends. If you want to take advantage of what we do and why we live here, today would be the day. Get out there and enjoy it. Do something. Enjoy the sunshine, fishing, snorkeling, even swimming for that.
Yeah, this is my favorite time of year because we're coming out of those hot summer months, and then now we're starting to feel a little bit of relief during the day. We're not getting those 90-degree temperatures anymore, and so hopefully we'll start heading towards getting a little bit cooler in the mornings, and when we have that 20-degree swing where it's 70 degrees here or 68 degrees here in the morning and about 80 degrees in the afternoon. That's the kind of stuff I like.
Yeah. Well, this morning was the first morning that when I took the dog out, the dog has to have his time. When I took the dog out early this morning was the first time I saw a lot of fog out there. So, it's telling me that the dew point is dropping, it's getting cooler. It was very cool this morning. I don't know about your side of the state, but, it's probably around, 68 degrees when we first got out, and it warmed up pretty quick.
Yeah, it was 66 yesterday morning was our low over here, and it was such a nice relief because it's been such a brutal hot summer.
Man, it goes, we say here, I say here in Florida we have 2 seasons. We have hot and hotter. And right now I think we're getting from the hotter into the hot and going into the hot. I don't think, I lived in Denver for a while when I was in the service. They stuck me in Denver, which is beautiful, for a Miami boy who everything is flat. And they send you to somewhere like Denver, Colorado, where you are looking at these majestic mountains all around, snow-capped mountains, and it snowed there, by the way, in June. It was snow flurrying in the beginning of June there in Denver when I was there at that time. I went nuts. I couldn't deal with the cold, but I loved it. It was like a bittersweet. I loved seeing the mountains and enjoyed going to the mountains, because every time we'd go to the mountains, it was like Christmas for me, because they had the evergreens up there. The thing that we call Christmas trees were growing wild up there, and the aroma was everywhere, so you couldn't avoid it. So I would be there every weekend enjoying it, but my goodness, the cold was I just could not deal with the cold. So I'll deal with hot and hotter.
Yeah, well, see, and one of the things I realized, I lived my whole life down in Fort Lauderdale, and in '98 I moved out of there and moved to Cocoa. And you really, once you get north of Lake Okeechobee, you really feel the change of seasons. At nighttime it's a little cooler, but it seems like if you're down south of Lake Okeechobee, you really don't, it has to be one hell of a cold front before you really feel the change. But up, when we're quite a ways north of you over here on the west coast in the Tampa Bay area. And, you feel the change of seasons. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I lived in North Florida for a while. Like I mentioned earlier, I was stationed in Panama City.
Well, it gets cold up there. Yeah.
It snowed a couple of times up there. I'm kind of, this is Florida. Come on, God, cut me some slack.
It snowed up there last year.
Oh, did it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it snowed a couple of times when I spent a little over 2 years there, and it snowed, I think, both seasons it snowed. And it was something that just completely I'm thinking, I'm going to be in Panama City. When they first told me I was going to be to Panama City, anybody who knows anything about Panama City knows this is party town, serious party town.
Yeah.
So here I am. I was like 18 years old. I'm going to party town, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be in party town. Can you imagine? When I got there, little did I know that after sometime in the second week of September, I think it is, the city shuts down. 9 o'clock at night, everything is gone. The only thing that's open is a Waffle House. This is back then. I don't know about now. It was a Waffle House and a gas station. That was it. A gas station on Highway 98 and a Waffle House was on Highway 98. But everything else was shut down. For a Miami boy that was able to go anywhere at any time of the, I don't care what time of the day it is, 4 o'clock in the morning, there's something open, something going on.
Right.
For somebody like me to experience that, I went crazy. But you know what? After a while, and I acclimated to it, it was, when you slow down, life is much more enjoyable than the hustle bustle. But it does take some getting used to.
Yeah, sir. It sure does. But especially if you grew up in a real busy place like we did, Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. You know, There's always something going on.
There's always something. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is.
That's right.
Anyway, I see we are up against a break, and we might as well do that now and get it out of the way, and we'll be right back. And please don't go away. It's the Fish Florida Show.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida when the sun shines all day. Call me a grouper. Stop fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time and letting us share with you. Been kind of funny morning this morning, but we always have something interesting and try to bring something to the plate that would capture your ears, if you will, something that would tickle and that which would interest you. I was a little surprised this morning that to hear the news about the red tide on from Robert. That was really, really good. I'm still thinking about that in the back of my mind. Always good to hear things like that because hasn't been too good lately. So always a bright light that is available if you look for it, I guess. And so it's one of those things. My next guest is Mike Lindell. Mike is with the King of the Glades tournament, and he's one that fishes back there, I think around Lake Okeechobee. He'll correct me in a minute when I bring him on, but I think he fishes back in there, and I enjoy having him on because he tells us what's going on. We've discussed that a lot of the stuff that we're experiencing, the water's coming from Lake Okeechobee, so he's really right there at the source, and he can give us an idea what's happening in there. Mike, good morning. How are you doing, my friend?
Good morning, Mr. Stevens. Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Good. Yes, as a matter of fact, I fished Okeechobee last weekend. The water quality of Okeechobee seems to be cleaning up, and seems like the green tide anyway seems to be subsiding. So that's a positive note. Fishing was pretty good up there. There was a tournament there yesterday. It took 30 pounds to win. So the fishing's been pretty steady up there at the lake.
When they do a tournament like that, do they bring the fish back to be weighed, or is it like an instant catch and release kind of thing?
No, they bring their 5 biggest fish back, and of course the top 5 teams, it's total 5 weight, and then the single largest bass of the tournament also wins money.
So I'm curious, how big was the largest one?
I believe yesterday was just under 9 pounds.
Holy! Wow,
that's a monster.
Yeah, but yes, fishing's actually been pretty good everywhere. I'm actually based out of the Florida Everglades. The King Series kicks off January 6th in Clewiston on Okeechobee, but it switches back down. It's a tournament that goes to Okeechobee and then switches back down to the Everglades and then back and forth between the two. But actually out in the Everglades, which normally this time of year is horrible fishing due to high water and stuff, they've actually dropped the water a little bit, I guess in prep for Hurricane Michael, which thank goodness didn't dump a bunch of rain on us. Prayers for all the people up in North Florida, of course, and, but fishing's been terrific down here. Alligator Alley, guys are catching a lot of 5 to 7 pound bass, swimming swim baits and big worms out on the alley. One of the teams went back in the flats, which is the shallow marsh access, is where the bass normally go to spawn in January, late December, January, and they were catching 6-pounders back in the flats. So
wow.
It looks like it's going to be a good year out in the Everglades. Fishing's been really strong everywhere. Lake Placid is simply on fire. I don't know how else to put it. Carolina rigging big worms, especially the bruiser baits, big nasty 14.5-inch worm on Carolina rigs. They're catching 11, 12 pounders consistently up on the deep ledges up on Lake Placid. It's been really good fishing.
Mike, describe what a California rig is.
Actually, it's Carolina rig. Carolina rig is where you take, in general, they take a 3/4 ounce weight, usually use a saltwater egg-shaped sinker. They put it under line, then they tie a swivel on, and then they put a leader of about anywhere from a foot to 2.5, 3 foot long, and then the hook, and then the bait.
Okay.
That way, when you cast it out on these ledges or on the grass beds, the weight hits the bottom, but the bait stays up above all the substructure.
I got you. That's
some serious monsters being caught. Wow.
Yes, and like I said, we kind of made it through this year with the green algae stuff. It seems like I didn't see any where, you know, no matter where I was on the south end of the lake down Pelican Bay, I was over by East Wall, up by Clewiston Channel. I didn't see any of the green stuff. Lesson learned is, you know, in my opinion, is the phosphorus and all the stuff that comes into Okeechobee comes in from north of Okeechobee, but the Corps of Engineers really has to think this year as far as releasing that water in the winter time before the algae blooms, you know, gets a hold into Okeechobee in the summer, you know, because that's what it needs. It needs, you know, that sunlight and that still water. I hope they keep the lake at a decent water level through the winter and not as high as they did last year, where they're forced to dump the water into all these canals, you know, to the east and to the west.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Captain Hook, what were you saying about Brian Mast said what?
Well, I understand that they have appropriated the funds for the reservoirs, and they made the deal to buy the property to build the reservoirs. So they can take some of this water and they put it in these reservoirs. They can filter it, and then they can let it back through the Everglades like it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which I agree with. I mean, they've built. Matter of fact, there's a SPA area that's just been built off US 27. That, I mean, they're catching absolutely giant bass back there. You can only go back there with a John boat. You can't have a motor. But it's one of those reservoir type holding areas. The only issue I see with the reservoirs, and listen, I'm open to anything. More reservoirs, hey, you know, they might open them up to fishing and whatnot. But when they build the reservoir south of Okeechobee, you know, if for some reason we get a ton of rain, you know, they can't lower the water through the Everglades like they used to because of the endangered species that need to breed on land, on dry land. So if the water level's high in the glades and they fill these reservoirs up, and then we get an uncertain amount of rain through the Kissimmee chain into Okeechobee, we're going to be right back to the situation where they have to pump east-west, in my opinion.
Right.
So my thing is, I hope they dedicate some land north of Okeechobee to clean up some of that farmland and some of that phosphorus coming off the golf courses and stuff up in Orlando, and try to clean the water before it gets to Okeechobee. You know, I mean, there has to be some kind of combination here in the future. You know, so we'll see what happens. Like I said, you know, I'm all for it. My son-in-law's a saltwater captain on a boat out of Hollover down in Miami, and he actually saw red tide come, you know, which is a different subject, but he actually had red tide on this coast, and he had to work around it for his clients to catch fish, you know, because they weren't biting in the red tide.
If I'm not mistaken, Brian Mast was asking the water management people why they had to have it so high, and I think that if I understand what Captain Hook was telling me earlier, what Brian is trying to do is get them to do exactly what you're saying. Why wait until it's really, really high and then start releasing massive amounts of water? Why don't you just keep it at a satisfactory level and just release small amounts at a time? And possibly that could reduce or maybe even stop all of this damage that's being done.
That's right. And
one of the biggest concerns to me in going forward in the future is the state of Florida gets $3 million a year to spray chemicals in Okeechobee to kill the weeds. And trust me, the guys that they hired are from Georgia, so they're not real familiar with the body, you know, with Okeechobee. So they're out there spraying in an area, but then they got 500 gallons of stuff left over. They're just dumping it. They're just constantly dumping pesticides. I mean, Lake Istapoga is a perfect example. It used to be full of hydrilla, full of big bass. They went in and sprayed the whole thing. Now it's just a mud bowl. And unfortunately, Okeechobee, with the outer sawgrass walls and cattail walls being destroyed from the hurricane, it's allowed all this stuff to flow into the backwaters, and there's just no grass. There's absolutely no grass on Okeechobee, and somehow they got to get these guys under control with the spray boats, and because that's one of the biggest filters for the phosphorus and all that is the plant life, and if there's no plant life, you're not going to have a filter.
Wow. Wow. Go ahead, Captain.
It's a battle on a lot of fronts.
Yeah, it's just something definitely has to be done, but for sure. And I like your idea about building the reservoirs up north of the lake too. I understand they're going to build 5 reservoirs. That's what their goal is eventually. I imagine most of them were going to be south of the lake. But I like your idea about at least build 2 of them so they come off the Kissimmee River and take some of that load off the lake.
Right, which is a lot of political stuff. I'm not going to get into politics, but I mean, I'll just bring up one thing that happened a few years back is Bush wanted, Jeb up north wanted to trade land down in the Everglades for land up there. They wanted to build houses down here and bring more estuary back up there, which luckily it got shut down because we can't lose any more Everglades down here. Yes. But, they just, they don't want to give up that land up there. They just don't want to. That's where all the millionaires, most of them, the big guys live up there in Orlando and stuff. And they, $1 million industries are going up into for somebody to say, hey, I'm going to give up 1 million acres of land to flood over up north it's going to be a difficult fight. But I think in the future, because there's enough phosphorus north of Okeechobee to supply an algae bloom for the next 50 years, I think that eventually they're going to have to do something up north because, everything flows south. It wouldn't be fair for us to take the blunt of everything down here and they don't feel nothing up there. It just, in my opinion, it wouldn't be fair. But as far as fishing goes, for the fishing viewers, Alligator Alley out in the Everglades is on fire. Go out and throw some swim baits, some big worms. The peacock bass fishing down in Miami has been really strong. Clouser minnows and stuff and rattle traps and stuff down in Miami. Okeechobee, good morning offshore bite with topwater baits and stuff. I mean, the fishing Lake Placid, absolute giants up at Lake Placid. Nicholas Hoying made the All-American yesterday. He had a 29-pound bag up at the BFL Regionals on the St. Johns River, so it looks like the St. Johns he had a 29-pound bag yesterday, so, it looks like the St. Johns is fishing pretty good. He caught those flipping in the grass on the shoreline up at the St. Johns, so fishing in Florida, bass fishing in general is really good. We're not going to feel the effects of no grass for at least 2 years. What I mean by that is all the big spawners that had babies this year, we don't know how many of those babies got eaten up because they had no place to go because there's no grass. So you're going to catch big fish right now, but we'll see how it goes a couple years from now. Hopefully, the fishing continues to be great in Florida because that's what we're known for. And, both saltwater and freshwater. We don't need this green tide, this red tide. I know they're 2 separate issues and they're created by 2 separate things, but they're both man-made. So, hopefully we can all, put our thoughts together and fix these problems. So,
Mike, where are you located?
I actually live in Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Okay. So when you say
I'm actually 10 minutes away from the Everglades and probably 20 minutes away from the beach for the snook fishing.
Yeah, well, you're in a good spot. Where do you go out to Holiday Park? Is that where you go?
Yes, yeah. Holiday Park is, like I said, Holiday Park, there's fish in the flats right now biting. There's fish on the alley biting. So normally this time of year, it's a real struggle out there. But because they lowered the water a little bit, perhaps for that storm, it kept fishing. The fish are biting out there right now as well.
That's good.
But I will tell you this. I went to real quick. I know you got to go. I did go, the new ST area that they built out there is full of plant life, full of hydrilla, full of everything. It's not being sprayed. It's untouched. There's giant bass out there. The water is absolutely crystal clear.
Wow.
I just wish these representatives in the state would realize how important hydrilla might not be a native plant, but wherever I've seen hydrilla, the water has been crystal clear, and I'll just leave it at that.
Wow. Well, if anybody wants to get involved in the tournaments, very quickly, how do they do that?
January 6th, we kick off at Clewiston at Roland Martin's Marina. Sign in the morning of. It's a $80 entry. We're going to have a free Boaters Appreciation raffle, free prizes for all the teams, free T-shirts in the morning. Actually, down the right arm of the T-shirt, I put slow the flow, let it grow as a, a representative of this year's struggle with trying to keep the lake clean. And, it's going to be a fun time. We average, just around 100 boats a tournament. So it's going to be, you just show up, pay your entry, fish, and have a good time. But we kick off January 6th, in Clewiston at Roland Martin's Marina.
Is it King of the Glades? Is that the name of it?
King of the Glades, yes. King of the Glades, it's KOTGseries.com is the official website, KOTGseries.com. You get all the rules and stuff on there, but the King of the Glades Open Team Bass Series kicks off January 6th.
Thank you, Mike. Greatly appreciate it. We are completely out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you in a week.
Have a good weekend.